Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I hope you're all doing very well. So yes, the time has come once again. The 2024 Golden Globe nominations were announced earlier today. And so of course, it's my job, as it has been for the last 4 years now, it's my job to react to and go through the nominees list. Now, like I said, this is a time-honored tradition here on my channel. I've been doing this for the last 4 years. And so you think that and so you think that I'd be used to it by now. Do you know what I mean? Like, you think that I would take it all in stride. I know what's going on, been there, done that, got the t-shirt and the cap. Like, I should be prepared for this whole ordeal, right? Like, you'd think I would be after 4 years. But honestly, after seeing this nominees list, especially for the TV show categories, which we'll be diving into tomorrow. It will be tomorrow for you guys because I need to edit these 2 videos. But we're going to dive into the TV show categories tomorrow, and let me tell you, that is just shambolic on a whole different level, okay? But even across the board, taking both film and television into consideration, okay? I have to tell you that when I saw those nominees, I was ready to quit, honestly. Guys, I was this close to just quitting. We need to shut down the YouTube channel, closing down sale, all things must go. Like, it was honestly this close, because I'm sick and tired of Hollywood playing in my face. I'm sick and tired of Hollywood playing in my face. What kind of insane relationship do I have with this industry where every single year I come here, I sit down to discuss these freaking awards, only for them to do the exact same thing that they always do? Like, what am I actually expecting? Why am I doing this to myself? No, I'm gonna quit. I changed my mind again. I'm gonna quit. But we're gonna have a fun time like we always do, kind of, sort of, maybe. And if that sounds fun to you, then be sure to stick around. And if you enjoy my awards season coverage, then please be sure to give this video a thumbs up to let YouTube know, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because this is the beginning of awards season. And whilst the Golden Globes are all fun and good and dandy, they're not exactly the most important awards ceremony of the year, because that distinction belongs solely to the Genie Awards. Yes, the time has come for the Genie Awards to re-emerge from their slumber. I am so excited to be bringing you guys the 2nd annual Genie Awards in less than 2 weeks time, on the 23rd of December. A nice early Christmas present for you all. And I can't wait to dive into a list of nominees that are actually deserving, actually interesting, actually surprising. Like, someone has clearly done their homework when it comes to the Genie Awards. Unfortunately, the same cannot be said for the Golden Globes. And so with that, let's dive into these nominees. So as I said, today we're going to be diving into the film categories, and the first category up is Best Actress in a Drama. Here the nominees are Annette Bening for Nyad, Kaylee Spenny for Priscilla, Carey Mulligan for Maestro, Greta Lee for Past Lives, Lily Gladstone for Killers of the Flower Moon, and Sandra Huller for Anatomy of a Fall. So first of all, unfortunately, I haven't gotten a chance to see Anatomy of a Fall. I've heard great things about it. I was supposed to see it last week, but last week was way too busy. Guys, I went to the cinema 5 times last week. Okay, because as a voter of the Genie Awards, I want to make sure I make a nice, good, informed decision before the ceremony. So I went to the cinema way too many times, and one of these films had to give, and it had to be Anatomy of a Fall. So I haven't seen it yet. I'm afraid we can't really comment on Sandra's performance there. Nor have I seen Priscilla, simply because it's not out yet. It's not out yet here in the UK, and unfortunately there are some really exciting projects that I'm really looking forward to seeing, and I would have liked to have seen before the Genie Awards and before my best of lists, but unfortunately they're not coming out until 2024. It feels like we're going back to the pre-pandemic era of the UK getting these awards worthy prestigious films like months after the fact, you know, like months after they're released in the US, which is really annoying to me. I thought we were over that. Like, I thought we'd moved on as a society from that, but unfortunately films like Priscilla, Poor Things, Color Purple, and American Fiction are coming out in the early part of 2024, and there's simply nothing that I can do about it. Now, Nyad is a Netflix movie, I believe. I think I've seen it on the platform and just promptly ignored it. So I don't know what Annette Bening was like in that film either. But what I can comment on is Past Lives, Killers of the Flower Moon, and Maestro, all of which have brilliant performances from these actresses. Now, if I had to pick a front runner of who I think will win, I would say it's probably Lily Gladstone from Killers of the Flower Moon, who's had heats from her performance for months now. She's been winning other awards as well, so that sets a good precedent for her. And as long as she can sustain that momentum, she's probably going to end up with the maybe we'll discuss when the Oscars come. But I do think that Lily Gladstone gave a phenomenal performance in Killers of the Flower Moon. You can check out my review if you haven't already. But I have to say, she's up against some pretty tough competition with Carey Mulligan in Maestro, because yes, guess what, I did in fact go see Maestro. Yeah, I did. Yeah. Now, if you've watched my Napoleon review / rant, you'll know that I've said that I'm sick and tired of films like Maestro and Napoleon and Oppenheimer and Ferrari. In that review, I said that I was going to take a break from seeing films like that and certainly refrain from reviewing them here on this channel. And I completely meant that. Okay, I still stand by that 100%. However, I did go see Maestro because it's nearing the end of the year and I do want to see what all of these films are about before I vote on the Genie Awards and make my best of lists. And I have to say, Maestro is good. Maestro, we'll discuss further later on, but Maestro is good and Carey Mulligan is better. Carey Mulligan was phenomenal in this film. Now, there are several actresses here that are nominated for the same kind of role, which is playing the compassionate, intelligent, but very much in the shadows wife of an important white man in history, okay? But I would say within that genre, out of all of those actresses, Carey Mulligan deserves to be on this list more than any other. More than any other. She absolutely killed in this role, and to be fair, it's because she was given a juicier, meatier role than what the other actresses were given within that same subgenre, as I said. Bradley Cooper really made sure that his co-star, who actually gets top billing, I believe, or at least in the credits she did, his co-star really was able to shine in this film, even though it's certainly a vanity project for him as a director, writer, and star. But Carey Mulligan holds her own throughout, and it's super impressive. Like, she gives a really great performance. And also, to be fair, she's in the film more. She's more of a main character in the film in comparison to Lily Gladstone in Killers of the Flower Moon. So whilst I think Lily Gladstone gave a great performance, I do think that she's largely absent, especially in the second half of that film. And I was surprised to see her be nominated in lead actress as opposed to supporting. And honestly, deep down in my heart of hearts, surprisingly, I would say that Carey Mulligan kind of takes it for me when it comes to my personal preference of who should win in this category. But I do think that Lily Gladstone is likely to take this home. Next up, we have Best Actor in a Drama. And here the nominees are Andrew Scott for All of Us Strangers, Bradley Cooper for Maestro, Cillian Murphy for Oppenheimer, Coleman Domingo for Rustin, and Leonardo DiCaprio for Killers of the Flower Moon. Okay, so for this category, I've done a little bit better. The only film that I haven't seen is All of Us Strangers, which again is coming out next year here in the UK. I've seen the rest of them though. So we're good, we're golden, we did the thing. We did our jobs, okay? This is an interesting category. So before we begin, hi, my name is Jean and I'm the world's biggest Cillian Murphy fan. I have to put the disclaimer out there that this is not exactly unbiased. Like, I am a huge Cillian Murphy fan. Please. Okay, if you watch my Peaky Blinders season 6 review, then you already know what's good. You already know what's up. And honestly, he was the best part of Oppenheimer for me. I found some of that film to be insufferable. Okay, but we're not going to dive into Oppenheimer just yet. But I had issues with that film, which I discussed in my review. But one thing I certainly had not one single issue with was Cillian Murphy's performance in that film, because he ate. He absolutely gobbled. He gobbled and left no crumbs, okay? So I think he was spectacular in that role. And up until a few days ago, I would have said hand on heart that this is 100% his to lose from both my perspective and that of the Golden Globes voting body. However, something changed. Something has shifted in the last few days, or actually in the last 24 hours. And that shift was that I saw Maestro. I saw Maestro. And guys, I know you're not going to believe me if you haven't seen the film. If you have not seen Maestro, you're not going to believe. You're going to be like, Jean, you're insane. G, you're literally crazy. What are you talking about? Guys, Bradley Cooper. And I can't believe I'm saying, like, I am the world's biggest Cillian Murphy fan. But Bradley Cooper. Listen, I can't tell a lie. I can't tell a lie. Bradley Cooper kind of did everything that Cillian Murphy did in Oppenheimer. Like, he did the whole transformation from youth to old age. He did the whole genius who's misunderstood and cheats on his wife. Like, he did that whole thing, but kind of like more intensely and kind of like better. Like, I don't know. But maybe it's because the writing was better as well. And also just there was humanity. Oh my god, Bradley Cooper, I can't believe I'm saying this, but who do I, oh no. Listen, this feels like a huge betrayal as the world's biggest Cillian Murphy fan, but Bradley Cooper kind of gobbled. Like, Bradley Cooper kind of came out of nowhere and just did what needed to be done, and that's insane. And plus you have the fact that he directed and co-wrote the script. I don't know, man. Like, that's kind of the performance of a lifetime to me. Like, I just feel like there was such intensity in everything about his, you know, persona. Everything about the way that he portrayed Leonard Bernstein was just, it just hit a little bit harder in comparison to the more aloof and closed off and cold Oppenheimer. But then Cillian also played that really well. So I actually don't know is the answer. Who do I think is going to win? I think it's going to be Cillian for Oppenheimer. But my personal opinion for who should win, it could not be more neck and neck. I genuinely don't know is the answer to that. I do not know. Now, just to touch on the two other performances, I mean, Leonardo DiCaprio was really good in Killers of the Flower Moon, portraying the world's most pathetic, useless, dumb, stupid, hypocritical betrayal of a man. Okay, like, he was just the worst. He was a bumbling fool, literally the worst person in history, that man, and he portrayed him very well, so good on Leo for that. And then you have Colman Domingo, who was superb in Rustin. He portrays Bayard Rustin, who was a civil rights activist who worked alongside Martin Luther King Jr. And he unfortunately has been kind of brushed to the side and forgotten in a lot of ways. And that's partially because he was a member of the LGBTQ community at that time, which was very much frowned upon. And even though the NAACP were fighting for civil rights and justice for, you know, black people in America, this was still the 1960s, and they did still have prejudices against certain groups. So not all civil rights were worth fighting for some members of the NAACP. And unfortunately, Bayard Rustin was a victim of that kind of mentality. But that didn't stop him from being a powerful force in the civil rights movement, who was right alongside Martin Luther King Jr. And I think it's incredible that we have his story be told in this Netflix movie, and I would highly recommend you guys check it out if you haven't already. And like I said, Colman Domingo is absolutely phenomenal. He's always phenomenal. In everything that I see him in, he's always great. but he was brilliant in this film, and I'm so glad to see him be nominated here. Okay, so next up on the list we have Best Supporting Actress, which is both for drama and comedy or musical. And here the nominees are Danielle Brooks for The Color Purple, Divine Joe Randolph for The Holdovers, Emily Blunt for Oppenheimer, Jodie Foster for Nyad, Julianne Moore for May December, and Rosamund Pike for Saltburn. So when it comes to this nominees list, I'm largely indifferent. I have one favourite that I think absolutely should win, which we'll talk about in a second. But first, I want to address the Oppenheimer of it all. Let's talk about Emily Blunt being nominated for her role in Oppenheimer. I think that's absurd. Yeah. I think that's literally crazy, cuckoo for brains. Like, I think that literally makes no sense. Of all of the brilliant performances that we have gotten from actresses in supporting roles this entire year, you want to give this spot to Emily Blunt in Oppenheimer, who I've already told you what kind of character she portrays. If you've watched my Napoleon review, you already know how I feel about the type of character that Emily Blunt portrays in this film. Now, as I said, I do think that there is levels to it when it comes to this kind of archaic female character that we see in these male-dominated biopics. Like I said, you know, Carey Mulligan's character in Maestro is actually kind of the best example of this sort of thing, because she actually has agency and levels and layers to her character. So even though she's not the main subject of the film, she has her times to shine throughout it, and she gives a phenomenal performance, kind of rising to that occasion each and every scene that she's in. So that is the best case scenario, in my opinion, when it comes to this subgenre of female representation. And Emily Blunt is the worst case. Well, I wouldn't say worst case scenario, but she's like a notch above worst case scenario. And the only reason why she's here is because she has that one key moment at the end of the film, right, where Oppenheimer is being investigated for, you know, communism and the like, and she's up there defending her man her man who, you know, cheated on her multiple times, humiliated her, whatever. But she's there defending her man, sassing that government official. And it's supposed to be this like mic drop moment, which it is for, you know, Emily Blunt's acting, because it actually gave her something interesting to do. Imagine that. But narratively, it's like, oh, you have this incredibly smart woman who was a biologist, but then was just set aside to be barefoot and pregnant whilst her husband developed this bomb. And she was just shoved to the periphery of his life whilst he constantly cheated on her with a younger model, only for her to stand up for her man 30 years on, after that younger model passed away under suspicious circumstances. And that's supposed to be like a valiant moment for this female character. It's supposed to be a moment of triumph or something. No, I don't think as I said in my Napoleon review, I do not see the empowerment in this. I do not see the valiance in this. Like, it's just, well, I thought we were past this really when it came to female representation, but clearly we're not. I just don't think there was enough meat in this role for Emily Blunt to really do much, you know, other than that key scene. So I think it's preposterous that she's nominated here, especially considering just last year we had Angela Bassett be nominated for Black Panther 2. So many people were so upset because she was nominated for like that key speech moment in Black Panther 2, and people thought that just wasn't enough for her to be worthy of a nomination. But interestingly, people don't have that same energy for Emily Blunt here in Oppenheimer, who actually had less to do than Angela Bassett in Black Panther 2. So I find that interesting. Listen, like I said, I've been doing this for 4 years and I've noticed a few trends here and there. Let me tell you, I find this one interesting. So then next we have Julianne Moore for May December and Rosamund Pike for Saltburn. And these are kind of in the same category for me, where I feel like whilst they gave great performances in each film, I didn't get the sense that their performances like elevated the film to the next level. Like I didn't get the sense that like without them the film would just be so much worse, it would fall apart. Like they just really made this film. I didn't get the sense of that at all. But listen, none of this matters, okay? None of this matters, because if there is any justice in the world, that award will go straight into the hands of Divine Joy Randolph. Okay, let's talk about it. The Holdovers? please. The holdovers, listen, putting the disgusting and allegedly horrible and abusive Alexander Payne to the side for a second here, The Holdovers is such a brilliant film. And Divine Joy Randolph, you see, this is the kind of role that's like, it made the film better. It elevated the film. Oh, what a spectacular character. Divine Joy Randolph plays this lunch lady who works in this all boys boarding school for the kids of the elite, you know, in that area. And she recently lost her son, so she's in mourning. She's so sad and in pain, but she has to stay behind in order to feed the holdovers, the sort of leftovers, who are stuck in the boarding school during the Christmas holidays. And so she gets wrapped up in their shenanigans with Paul Giamatti there as well, and you know, chaos ensues, right? But I just think she is such a wonderful addition to this cast, and she did make it or break it, honestly, because with just those two, it's a bit much. When you just have Paul Giamatti's character and that one kid that's forced to stay over after everyone else leaves, it's kind of intense because they're both dickheads, like they're both intensely dickheads. But then you have Divine Joy Randolph's character who kind of brings, well, first of all, some feminine and maternal energy to the whole equation, but also just a kind of different personality. I mean, she's suffering, she's going through a lot, but the fact that she warms up to the two of them is just a really wonderful arc for her to go on, especially in light of the fact that she lost her son. So it's kind of like she adopts another during the Christmas holidays. Wonderful. Okay, this is the stuff that I'm talking about. This is the stuff that I want more of, okay? So in my opinion, there's no question, this award should absolutely go to Divine. But honestly, I wouldn't be too mad or angry about any of them. Obviously, I haven't seen The Color Purple, so I can't speak to Danielle Brooks, but like, she's incredible in everything that she's in. So I'm sure she deserves to be here. But the only thing that would piss me off is if this went to Emily Blunt for Oppenheimer, because we shouldn't be rewarding the kind of role that she had in that film. Okay, so next up on the list, we have Best Supporting Actor. And here the nominees are Charles Melton for May December, Mark Ruffalo for Poor Things, Robert De Niro for Killers of the Flower Moon, Robert Downey Jr. for Oppenheimer, Ryan Gosling for Barbie, and Willem Dafoe for Poor Things. So when it comes to this category, I mean, this kind of exemplifies everything wrong with these awards, if I'm being honest, because it's just so predictable and it's the same names over and over and over again. It's the same stuff that we always see, you know, and it's just not surprising. It's not interesting. It just feels like these people don't do their homework and they don't watch more than 5 films. And so we just end up with stuff like this every single year. And I'm tired and I'm close to quitting. But let's go through the list anyway. Starting off with Willem Dafoe, Poor Things. I haven't seen it. Neither have I seen Mark Ruffalo in the same film. So then next up would be Ryan Gosling for Barbie. And honestly, I want this so badly. Honestly, truly though, genuinely, guys, we're talking about an actor whose performance like made the film, like elevated, took the film to a whole other level. You're telling me that's not Ryan Gosling as Ken? Come on, be for real, be serious. Ryan Gosling was phenomenal in Barbie. Like, genuinely, I know that people don't take it seriously because it's a comedic role and people don't think comedy is hard, but what he did as an actor was actually so difficult. Like, it was a whole 180 persona change. I don't think you guys understand. He was truly phenomenal in that role. It was like he was born to play Ken, and we've known this guy for decades now. We never ever would have seen that coming, and it just speaks to the work that he did here. He outshone Margot Robbie. Like, he outshone Margot Robbie in a lot of the scenes. Like, guys, come on, be serious. We're talking about one of the most standout performances of the year. The performance that actually elevated the film that it was in, the performance that took it to a whole other level. You have to include Ryan Gosling in that conversation. I'm so sorry, but like, he should absolutely take this home. But he's only my second choice, okay? He's only my second choice. We'll talk about my first choice in a second. But I'll tell you who's my last choice straight up, and that's Robert Downey Jr. for Oppenheimer. Under no circumstances can Robert Downey Jr. win the Golden Globe for Oppenheimer. Under no circumstance, please do not allow this to happen, Hollywood, okay? Because he was just himself in Oppenheimer. That's all. I'm sorry, but I could only see Robert Downey Jr. throughout that entire film. And he was good. He said the lines right. He had some moments. But like, when you consider the fact that Cillian Murphy literally transformed right in front of my eyes, as someone who is, like I said, a huge Peaky Blinders fan, I did not see Thomas Shelby. I did not see Cillian Murphy even in that role. I just saw Oppenheimer when I was watching that film. But every single time RDJ came along, all I saw was RDJ. Like, he just did not disappear in that role. Even Matt Damon managed to disappear in his role in the film more than RDJ did. I'm sorry, but I just don't see versatility in RDJ. I think he's good at doing one specific thing, but he cannot disappear in a role the way that some of these other character actors can. The way that Ryan Gosling did in Barbie. Now, Robert De Niro was phenomenal in Killers of the Flower Moon, but he's not my standout performance from this list, because my number one choice is actually Charles Melton from May December. I am crossing my fingers, I am crossing my toes, my legs, my arms, my ears, everything is crossed, because I want Charles Melton to win this award so much. Like, he was the best part of May December by far. It's not even close. It's not even close. I watched that film. I thought it was good. I didn't think it was exceptional or anything, although people on social media really were taken by it. But to me, the biggest issue with May December was that weird kind of tonal dissonance that it had, where it was technically a comedy, and it had that kind of melodramatic music that interceded, you know, in parts. And Natalie Portman's performance leaned more towards comedy, but Julianne Moore's was more like drama. It was just a weird mishmash of tones for me. But the one consistently brilliant thing about that film was Charles Melton, because he was amazing as this sort of kid dad. Oh my god, we can get into it, but listen, this isn't a May December review, but he was essentially a child husband, a kid dad, like that oxymoronic character trait that he had, and he just never felt comfortable in his grown-up body. He was always hunched and making himself small like a child in a room full of adults, and he's privy to a conversation that he shouldn't be listening in on because it's past his bedtime. Like, that's literally how he felt throughout the film whenever he was in the scene, and it was just brilliant. Like, Charles Melton was phenomenal, and this is what I want to see more of. When I talk about the same old actors popping up on these lists, it's so refreshing to see someone like Charles Melton break through with a genuinely brilliant performance. And yes, he was on Riverdale, okay, fine. You know, Ryan Gosling was on, you know, Disney Channel Clubhouse or whatever. So like, these actors all come from somewhere. They all start off somewhere, okay? Like, get over it. Just because he was on Riverdale last year doesn't mean that he can't act, and he showed that. He proved that from his performance in May December. So he is my top choice for who should win and who could win, actually. But I do think it's likely that it's going to go to Robert Downey Jr., and at which point I will be closing down the channel. I will be quitting my job. Like, it's over. It's actually like, hang it up, flat screen, it's done. Okay, so next category up, we've got Best Director, and here the nominees are Bradley Cooper for Maestro, Celine Song for Past Lives, Christopher Nolan for Oppenheimer, Greta Gerwig for Barbie, Martin Scorsese for Killers of the Flower Moon, and Yorgos Lanthimos for Poor Things. So again, there aren't too many surprises here. It's the same kind of names that we have been seeing over and over again, really. I mean, as soon as it's destined for you to be an awards-worthy film, as soon as the critics have decided to, you know, bestow you with that privilege, then it's pretty much a done deal. You know, all you have to do is not flop, and and you're golden. And, you know, none of these films flopped, so good for them. Now, when it comes to who I think should win, I absolutely think it's Greta Gerwig for Barbie. Yeah. I think it's Greta Gerwig for Barbie. She took a huge risk here when it comes to this film. Greta Gerwig did something that no other director has ever done. she innovated, you know, she broke glass ceilings or whatever. Like, she actually created something that is singular, that is so special, and it has defined the entire year. Let's be real, let's be honest, guys. It has literally defined 2023 because of how unique it is, because of how special it is. And even though the film itself is not perfect, you can't look me in the eye and say that Barbie hasn't become one of the most iconic films of the 2020s. You can't do that, because then you'll be lying. You'd literally be lying through your teeth. And I think that's in large contrast to the other half of the phenomenon, which is Christopher Nolan for Oppenheimer, where in that case, it seems to me at least, that Christopher Nolan has been working in the industry for a good 30 years now, and he's never been recognized for his work, bless him. He's never been recognized for his work. No one was paying attention to The Prestige or even Inception or Dunkirk. Remember Dunkirk, where he really tried to get some goldware from you lot, but it failed. And so he was like, listen, you guys clearly don't like it when I try to do something fun, something exciting, something original. And so he was like, you know what, let me just flick through the pages of Hollywood history and see what I can come up with for an easy win. Let's get some goldware on these shelves. My bookshelves are looking a bit bare. And so he flicks through the Hollywood book and he comes across Amadeus. Like, he comes across a few biopics that have won Best Picture, and he's like, you know what, yeah, I can do that. Like, okay, let's play this game. If you want to play, let's play this game. And he played the game well. He played the game his way, but it's still the game. It's still the same thing that we have seen time and time again for the last few decades, up to a century. And so there's no real special thing here when it comes to Oppenheimer, in my opinion. It's just a really well made version of the sort of thing that we usually see Hollywood reward time and time again. And that perfectly leads us into Best Motion Picture Drama, where here the nominees are Anatomy of a Fall, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, and Zone of Interest. Now here, I can say with quite a bit of confidence that Oppenheimer will likely win in this category. And to everyone's shock and surprise, I would say it should win as well. I would say it should. I actually like this film, even though I've been hating it. Oh my god, I have been dragging this film for filth for the last few months, but I actually liked it. Let's not forget, I actually liked it. It's just all the other things that come with it that piss me off. But yeah, I do think it deserves to win in this category. So yeah. But yeah, you just give it to Oppenheimer, it's fine. As long as you don't give it to Christopher Nolan. Okay, so next up, we're moving on to the musical and comedy categories. And first one up is Best Actor in a Musical or Comedy. And here the nominees are Jeffrey Wright for American Fiction, Joaquin Phoenix for Beau is Afraid, Matt Damon for Air, Nicolas Cage for Dream Scenario, Paul Giamatti for The Holdovers, and Timothée Chalamet for Wonka. What a great collection of performances here. I really appreciate the fact that we have a little bit more variety. We have some films that aren't really recognized in other categories being represented because of these, you know, great performances. And I prefer this. Like, I want to see more of this, Hollywood. Okay, so yeah, I think this is a really cool category. I have seen all of these films apart from American Fiction, which I want to see so badly, but it comes out in like February here in the UK. I'm so upset. But yeah, and I also haven't seen Beau is Afraid because I heard that was a bit and weird. I have seen Air. Okay, I discussed Air and what I've been watching earlier this year. I have seen Dream Scenario. It's one of the films that I was eagerly trying to catch up on in the last few weeks. And I have seen The Holdovers, ditto there. And Wonka. I did see Wonka, and I will be posting a review of Wonka soon as I get all of these other videos done. And I'm actually so delighted to see Timothée Chalamet actually nominated for Wonka because he was superb. And so many people, especially on social media, doubted him when the trailer for Wonka came out. They said that he wasn't right for the role, he would never be a Billy Wilder, blah, 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 blah. I said, listen, hold up. He looks good in this role. Like, he's cooking. Let Timmy cook, okay? And I was right. Like, I was correct, because he ended up being phenomenal. So those of you who are in, you know, the US and worldwide likely haven't seen Wonka yet, but I would highly recommend it. Just a heads up on my review. And I absolutely think that Timothée Chalamet's performance made that film all the more special and magical. I also think it's refreshing to see Nicolas Cage be nominated for Dream Scenario. He hasn't gotten a lot of like awards recognition in the last few years because of the types of films that he usually does, but this film in particular really hit. Like, this was a really great film about this weird phenomenon where Nicolas Cage's character starts popping up in people's dreams all of a sudden, and at first it's fine and dandy and he becomes a superstar at the center of this phenomenon, but then things very quickly turn south, and that's where you get a little bit more of a plot twist, a little bit more of a horror vibe coming out. But yeah, I really enjoyed Dream Scenario. It was just like special and weird and clearly one of Nicolas Cage's best work in the last few years, because he's actually been recognized here, and I think that's very deserving. And Paul Giamatti in The Holdovers, let's come, gather around gather around children, okay? Paul Giamatti in The Leftovers is like next level. Like, he was phenomenal in that role. It's like it was a role that he was born to play. He was brilliant, and to this day, it's been like weeks since I've seen this film, to this day I do not know which of his eyes was a lazy eye. I'm pretty sure he was switching it over. If you've seen The Holdovers, you know what I'm talking about. I'm pretty sure the eye thing kept changing throughout the film, so like it's not consistent, and I'm sure it was like intentional to confuse us, okay? But Paul Giamatti plays this really like unlikable classics teacher at this boarding school who's forced to stay behind with the holdovers, the kids that, you know, can't go home for the holidays, and, you know, chaos ensues. He goes on this adventure with this one kid who stays behind even after everyone else gets to go, and they develop this like really cool bond, especially because the kid is going through a lot at home. And so yeah, it's like a really great story. It just feels like warm and fuzzy, you know, like it feels so nostalgic for a time that I wasn't even alive for. Like, it's crazy. It is a really great film, the Alexander Payne nonsense notwithstanding, but I think Paul Giamatti absolutely deserves to be on this board, and I think he should take home that award. Like, give it, yeah. So then next up we have Best Actress in a Musical or Comedy, and here the nominees are Alma Poisty for Fallen Leaves, Emma Stone for Poor Things, Fantasia Barrino for The Color Purple, Jennifer Lawrence for No Hard Feelings, Margot Robbie for Barbie, and Natalie Portman for May December. So unlike with these other categories, let's highlight some of the nominees here that I think shouldn't be here at all. First one up, we have Jennifer Lawrence for No Hard Feelings. There's some hard feelings for, well, I feel hard, like, okay, but I have hard feelings about this nomination. I don't think she deserves to be there at all. I hope those of you, okay, the hive, okay, the cinephile hive, okay, who were real loud about people like Angela Bassett getting nominated, right, for Black Panther, I hope you guys are just as loud about this nomination, because I think this is ridiculous. Jennifer Lawrence was good in No Hard Feelings, but it's like an early 2000s raunchy comedy performance. Like, why wasn't Seth Rogen nominated for one of his many such performances? Do you know what I mean? Like, we've seen this before. Just because there aren't as many, you know, raunchy R-rated comedies coming out these days, especially in theaters, it doesn't mean that Jennifer Lawrence deserves to be nominated for a Golden Globe for being one of the few that did come out. Like, that, what? Like, no. And another performance that I don't think should really be here is Natalie Portman for May December. I understand the role that she had in May December. She's playing this like vapid, you know, Hollywood actress who's, you know, all up in her own world, trying to mimic the actions of Julianne Moore's character to kind of become her for this upcoming film. And then she slowly but surely starts to absorb Julianne Moore's character, you know, within herself, and maybe even her mind becomes just as changed as her physical appearance. Like, I understand what they were going for, okay? But I just just don't think there was anything spectacular in Natalie Portman's performance in this film. I mean, this is the kind of award that they would give like Natalie Portman for The Black Swan. So like, you're telling me that she gave that same level of performance in May, December that she did in Black Swan? Like that? No. I don't believe you, no. Now, unfortunately, I haven't seen Fallen Leaves or Poor Things or The Colour Purple. So I would have to just give it to Margot Robbie by default. But even still, I just think because of how incredibly iconic her role is, she does deserve some recognition for that. And even though she was kind of overshadowed by Ken in some of the scenes in the film, I think that was mostly just because of the absurdity of the fact that Ryan Gosling was playing this character. But that doesn't take anything away from Margot Robbie's portrayal of Barbie. Just because she was perfect for the role doesn't mean she didn't have to work for it. And I think she did a really great job in this role. But I don't think she will be. I think this is probably going to go to Emma Stone. From the looks of things, Emma is doing the complete opposite, where she's playing completely against type and like a completely different weird type of character. And so I think a lot of voters will see that as the bigger challenge in comparison to Margot Robbie playing Barbie. They'll kind of dismiss that, unfortunately, and will likely give it to Emma Stone for Poor Things. So that leads us into Best Motion Picture, Musical or Comedy. And here the nominees are Air, American Fiction, Barbie, May December, Poor Things, and The Holdovers. And this should probably go to Barbie. It should. If you're not going to give it to Margot Robbie, okay, you know what? Yeah, fine. So if you're going to give Best Actress to Emma Stone, then you have to be reasonable. You have to be serious and give Barbie, okay, the Golden Globe for Best Comedy or Musical. I think at the very least, that's like a decent balance. Like that kind of makes sense. I'm trying to bargain. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I'm trying to bargain with these people because I know that they're going to piss me off when the ceremony finally comes. So like, I'm trying to just work with me here. Okay, so next up we have Best Motion Picture Animated. And here the nominees are Elemental, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Suzumi, The Boy and the Heron, The Super Mario Bros. Movie, and Wish. So out of all of these, the only films that I haven't seen is Suzumi and The Boy and the Heron. This is a pretty good list, I suppose. The one snub that is really, really sad and annoying to me is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. Guys. That film was so brilliant. That film was so special and wonderful. It kills me that it wasn't nominated here. I would swap that out for Suzumi or the Super Mario Bros. I know that the Super Mario Bros. Movie was like a big deal blockbuster wise, and we'll discuss that in a second. But when it comes to like the quality of the film, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was actually like here. Like it was actually like, it's not even a competition. It was such a good film. You know, another film about a very popular IP, but that one did it better. So I wish it was here. I hope that it gets nominated in the Oscars. Like if the Academy has any sense, okay, and actually watches these animated films, then they'll know that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is better and deserves to be here. And it's even better than Wish, and I enjoyed Wish. Okay, you guys know I'm a vehement defender of Wish, but I did prefer Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to Wish by far. So yeah, I would knock out most of these, honestly, in this nominees list for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, so it upsets me that it's not here at all. But in terms of what is here, guys, guys, come on, do you know me or do you know me? Like, Spider-Man. I'm the world's biggest fan of two things, Cillian Murphy and the Spider-Verse films, okay? So yeah, I'm always going to be rooting for Spider-Man. Like, I'm always going to be rooting for Miles Morales, okay? Don't get it twisted. And I do think that Miles has a good chance of winning here. The only hiccup in this plan of mine that I see is The Boy and the Heron, because that seems to be getting some heat. Unfortunately, I haven't seen the film for myself, but I have heard some, you know, pretty good things, and it's Miyazaki and people, you know, really like him. And I do think that while the first Spider-Verse film won a bunch of awards, because the second one, you know, was very popular, it did have a bigger box office, it wasn't as under the radar anymore, it may be considered less of an underdog this time around, and perhaps The Boy and the Heron could swoop in there. But that would crush my heart because I genuinely think that Across the Spider-Verse is the best of what animation has to offer in 2023. Without question. So I really want to see it win. So then usually we would be done by now, right? Usually we would be done with the film nominations list for the Golden Globes. But they decided to mix things up this year. They didn't decide to mix up much because we have more of the same littered throughout this page, okay? But they decided to mix things up in one way, and that is by introducing this brand new category called Cinematic and Box Office Achievement. Tell me you want to reward Barbenheimer without telling me you want to reward Barbenheimer, right? Like this is about Barbenheimer. Like this is about well, first of all, this is about begging and pleading with people to watch the awards ceremony so that they can see some of their favorite films be represented in the nominations list, right? But then this is also about Barbenheimer. Now, my thing is that they didn't nominate Barbenheimer. I'll tell you who they nominated. Here we have Barbie, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, John Wick Chapter 4, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, Oppenheimer, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Taylor Swift The Eras Tour, and the Super Mario Bros. Movie. So those are the nominees for this like blockbuster extravaganza category that they've made up. And like I said, they're not rewarding the most popular cultural phenomenon to emerge from Hollywood in 2023, because then that would just be Barbenheimer. They're rewarding one specific film, and oh, I just got a chill. What if they're doing this to give themselves an out? To give Barbie a Golden Globe so that they don't have to give Barbie the Golden Globe for Best Comedy or Musical. Oh my God. I just gave myself a fright. That might be what they're trying to do. They might want to give the Golden Globe for Best Musical or Comedy to Poor Things and then give this award to Barbie. No. No. I'm just hoping that this is just a ploy to get the Swifties in. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that this is just a ploy to get the Swifties in, and then maybe they'll give it to the Eras Tour film. Because the alternative honestly just gave me a chill. So that's it from me, guys. Now that I told you guys my thoughts on this nominations list, it's time for you guys to let me know what you thought of these nominees down in the comments below. Please be sure to subscribe to catch new videos coming up, including my upcoming video discussing the TV show category. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.